The power of working with the actual recorded testimonies from the TRC, these fragments, are really a living sound memorial to the many, many people who came and told their stories at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Only to find out it's my son, John. I wish this news could just rewind.
I think the importance of it for me is that it reaches an audience who hears and is moved by those testimonies. I first started off with a very powerful piece of testimony that I had remembered, which was the testimony of Mrs. Mia, one of the mothers from the Google 87. She had come to the hearings in Cape Town and had spoken about the moment of her discovering that her son had been killed by the police, and at that moment when she saw it on television, which is how she first saw it, she spoke about how she wished that this could rewind this whole entire moment in her life.
I wish this news could just rewind.
I'd just also been given some analog cassettes from the TRC hearings, and I was sitting rewinding and fast-forwarding those tapes, and that connection got made. And once that connection got made about rewinding the physical and the poetical and the metaphorical stuff, it became a sort of grammar, a language in the testimonies that attracted to me. So often that's what hooked me into a particular testimony.
Mrs. Mia talks about ingathi rewind the tape, rewind, you know, I mean. Initially, it's a piece of music that you learn, right? And then suddenly you're caught up in the realization that, hey, wait a minute, somebody actually went through this. This production is definitely a memorial to all of those unsung ones, the ones that are unspoken of. It's a testament to the resilience of those human beings.
I thought about voice and about music and South African music and how, of course, the voice is actually the primary instrument. It's all that link between voice in the hearings and the voice of our nation. Then I kind of took it further and developed it really into a fully staged choral multimedia work. So it has, of course, a choir and 8 string players and then 4 extraordinary soloists. And Gerard Marx worked with me and we collaborated on the visual and elements to it and the video projections with the text.
They asked me, is this your son? I said, yes, he is.
Is this your son? A strong element to the production was the need to kind of be able to read what people were singing so that we could be certain about the fact that these testimonies were being translated. But I felt quite strongly that this process of seeing the text should be bigger than just that. I think the most challenging from the beginning was trying to find a modality that would do justice to the testimonies. You know, one certainly felt the sense that you needed to portray these testimonies in a way that would do justice to the intensity of the experience and the emotional world of the person who lived through it. I suppose what makes this piece difficult is, on one hand, it's a historical piece, but at the same time you knew that the people who delivered the testimonies would see the piece.
We have stared the beast of our dark past in the eye, and we have survived the ordeal.
When I started conducting it, I felt that it was too complex a work because not only is it complex musically, but also it uses a lot of multimedia. So you're not only reading the notes, you're reading the score in totality, the show in totality.
You have to be continually aware where you are in the score, continually aware of where you are in the text, and where the text is in relation to the music. And I know that now, if I were to do something in Rewind and some of the text or even some of the sounds that come from the audio are not there, I'd probably get very lost.
Sometimes the choir takes up a certain character. The very first piece, it's something that would be said by the person who is giving testimony. And then right at the next piece, then he uses the choir as a mass, a toi-toi, representing the masses who wanted to toi-toi to Pretoria, And then the third piece, now he uses the choir as an individual, as the crying and the sobbing of one of the people who are giving testimony.
My son was 11. He came home during school break. At 10 o'clock I was sitting.
My interpretation of Mrs. Blakey's story is kind of like a monument to the mothers themselves who experienced some of these travesties, who went through the pain. I think that's probably what makes this piece so emotionally taxing, because you find yourself immersed in the emotions that they went through.
I spent a day with Mrs. Nomonde Kalata, one of the apartheid survivors who came to talk about the story of the death of her husband, Fort Kalata.
The day that we find him, he's going to be in very big trouble. I was worried and I was scared.
We spoke about how does it feel for her to hear her own voice and to hear that cry, this very, very extraordinarily painful cry she makes, and that's been often heard and has become almost iconic in terms of the TLC.
Set up my bed, stand up. What is the bed after?
She said to me, I want my husband's story to be told again and again. Again, I want to hear it again and again. I want it spoken out.
The bullet apparently came from a 9mm pistol.
It made me realize that this work is an important work to continue to be performed and heard.
For me, it's gratifying when young people can engage with a story like this in that passionate way, because it means something is getting through, and one hopes that the more this kind of story is told, whether through a piece like Rewind, makes our children hopefully understand, gives them an inkling of what actually happened before they were even born, some of them.
The interesting thing about the cantata is that it certainly uses the stories from the TLC, and in that it focuses on a particular political history. What's been interesting, however, over the years that we've staged it, and it's been a number of years, is how the context constantly shifts. That shifting context constantly brings a new kind of subtext to the piece. So although the piece is about a particular period, the piece remains relevant because the issues that was raised then have not been resolved now. And I think those things make Rewind very rich.
Who's laughing? I guess I'm an of the man. Who's laughing?
So for me, Rewind is important now, and it's not about saying we can't move forward. It's about we can only move forward with this inside of us and with us keeping this alive. It's not a sort of polarized one or the other thing. Of course, as a composer, I wanted to sound and be beautiful and look beautiful and be staged. But for me, the most important thing is that the connection is made and that people hear those voices and take those stories with them.
As they repeat the stories again.
You can hear my voice? Excellent.
When do I leave? Yes, I can hear everything.
I came upon this manila envelope that had been among the accumulated mail. I opened it and it was addressed to me, and inside were 2 religious magazines, and the magazines were wrapped in plastic, sealed in plastic. So I ripped open the plastic, I took out the magazines, and I opened the English magazine, and the act of opening the magazine was the detonating device for a bomb. The ceiling in 3 rooms blew out. There was a hole in the floor. And I can still remember what happened. The actual explosion, it's still something with me. I remember pain of a scale that I didn't think a human being could ever experience. I remember going into darkness. Being thrown backwards by the force of the bomb. The exact angle saved my life that I opened it. I opened it on a small coffee table. If I'd opened it in something like this, a table like this, it would have killed me because it would have knocked out the heart or knocked off the head. But because I was opening it down in the low angle, it blew off my hands. I lost an eye, my eardrums were shattered. In my mind, there was somebody obviously who typed my name on an envelope, a woman or a man who typed that bomb, also somebody who made it, who created it. And I've often asked the question about the person who made it, the person who typed my name, what did they tell their children that night that they did that day? How did they describe when they said, how was your day today? What did they say that they actually did on that day? One of the things I've been thinking even this morning, do I want to meet the person who made the bomb? Well, the answer is it depends. I don't know if I could cope with somebody who doesn't care. I don't know if I could cope with somebody for whom there is no issue. Who's perhaps so dehumanized that it doesn't matter that you make litter bombs. But if there is somebody who is trapped by what they have done, what they've been party to, perhaps to me and perhaps to many others, then I'd love to meet them. I think we could have a very interesting conversation where we could begin to discover each other's common humanity. And of course, you know, if somebody said I was sorry, but I would want to ask them what they do for a living now, if they still make letter bombs. I'm not sure what that would mean. But again, if that person, if there's sorrow and they're living their life in a new way, I'd love to be able to say to them, of course, I forgive you in that context. Thank you very much.
I am saying it is true. Things went horribly wrong. I fully agree with that. And for that part of those painful years when things went horribly wrong and we were aware of the fact that there were factors that led to that, for that I am deeply sorry.
We have been moved to tears. We have laughed. We have been silent. And we have stared the beast of our dark past in the eye. And we have survived the ordeal.
find what happens, I would simply not be able to put you close to me. I'm not able to forgive the rest of this person.
Nomonde Kalata. Nomonde Kalata.
Yes, Mr. Yageni, when you say demonstration, I mean, has he not described it satisfactorily to you?
I also want to see it with my own eyes, what it did to me.
When I close my eyes, somebody that looked me straight in the eyes up with it. I don't even want to see it anymore. I feel. I feel what has brought my sight back. My eyesight back is to come back here and tell this story. But I feel what has been making me sick all the time is the fact that I couldn't tell my story.
Lucas Sequepere.
But now it feels like I've got my sight back.
I also want to see it with my own eyes, what it did to me.
Mr. Mkela.
Yes, I'm ready to tell you. I would like to tell you what happened. Yes, I'm ready to tell you. I would like to tell you what happened. Yes, I'm ready to tell you. I would like to tell you what happened. Yes, I'm ready to tell you. I would like to tell you what happened. Yes, I'm ready to tell you. I would like to tell you what happened. Yes, I'm ready to tell you. I would like to tell you what happened. Yes, I'm ready to tell you. I would like to tell you what happened. Yes, I'm ready to tell you. I would like to tell you what happened.
There wasn't just white people or just black people. There were a mixture of races. And to the contrary, there were more black people in the spur of that particular night.
27th of June 1985 is a day which will be indelibly printed in your minds and in your hearts and in the minds of many, many thousands and hundreds of thousands
willingness to sit
people
and listen to our stories, and the fact that we are here speaking out of our pains, you often admonish
many of us sitting at this table
the story. And I think for me that has because I've been able to talk about it. I hope that this is the last time that we don't have to continue to listen to your stories and make the whole world to know about your stories through radios and TVs. But we are doing this because we believe that if people repeat again all their hurt that they had as they repeat the stories again, as they repeat the stories again, as they repeat the stories again.
I could not actually believe what I was hearing. I just got a pain. I used to go to my home, then he tagged me in church. He flagged my response and spoke to me. I had a sinking feeling in my stomach because
We had a once-off experience, but the stories that have unfolded here are stories of years and 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 years of being victimized by violence. So we recognize that there's nothing special or exceptional about what we went through at that time.
And what do you hope that the Truth Commission can do for you?
And I would appreciate it if the Commission can give me assistance to treat me properly so that I can be able to be well again, like I was before. And that is my wish.
How they can be remembered is there were no memorial services done for them in Gugulethu. That is something that we still feel that it should have been done. We feel that they were not important in the nation at all. What I would ask is a memory that will be held for them. Even if it's just a creche or a building or a school that could be named after our children.
My son was 11. He came home during school break. At 10 o'clock I was sitting right there where you are in that very chair. He walked in dressed in his school uniform, went to the cupboard over there, cut himself a slice of bread. He's doing all this in a rush. He's like that when he comes home during break. He spreads the peanut butter and then puts the rest of the bread back, leaving the crumbs all over the cupboard, and the knife still smudged with peanut butter. He ran out, he's still chewing his bread and holding it in his hand. It wasn't long, I heard shots outside. Some commotion and shouts, then I am hearing Ulutando, Ulutando, Namputando, Bamtumule. Then someone calling out for me. I went flying out of this house. Now I am dazed. I ran not thinking, my eyes are on the crowd that has gathered. Here is my son, my only child. I felt his last breath leave him, leaving the crowd
I'm blessed by my Creator. I'm a believer, and I'm blessed by my Creator. That a puppet is an Afrikaans word and can be easily replaced by a proper positive term. Good neighborliness. Good neighborliness. Who's laughing? Who's laughing? That a puppet is an Afrikaans word and can be easily replaced by a proper positive term. Good neighborliness. Good neighborliness. Who's laughing? Who's laughing? Who's laughing? Who's laughing?
Who's laughing? Ik is een banaan op de mens. Who's laughing? Who's laughing? I'm a believer. Who's laughing?
That's my point with the so-called youth and reconciliation commission. They want me to apologize. I'm not prepared to apologize. Why did you want me to go and apologize?
Who's laughing? Ik is een banaan op de mens. Who's laughing? I'm a believer. Who's laughing? Who's laughing?
But I'm not here to apologize. That's my point with the so-called truth and the reconciliation commission. They want me to apologize. I'm not prepared to apologize. Why did you want me to go and apologize before the Supreme? For what? For what? No, I'm praying for them. No, I'm praying for them.
Amen.
You can hear everything? You can hear my voice?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, I can hear everything.
Good.
Can't hear the translation from the book.
Can you hear the translation?
Yes, I can hear that. Thank you.
Good. Very good.
Yes, I can hear everything.
Good.
I think there's a problem with his microphone.
Let him be sworn in.
I will be speaking to you in English. The translation will be into Xhosa. Is that all right?
A little bit more about what happened.
You swear that the evidence you're about to give in this application will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing else but the truth. Raise your right hand and say, so help me God.
He can't hear. He's hearing the speaker on the floor, but he can't hear the translation from the book.
You can hear everything? You can hear my voice?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, I can hear everything.
Good. Can you hear the translation?
Yes, I can hear that. Thank you.
Good. Very good.
I think there's a problem with his microphone.
You got the earphones all right?
To speak the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Hear me.
And the sun is all devouring me.
So help me God. Cause it's easy.
God against and Cooper Park.
The speaker's mic is not on.
I can't hear a question.
Yes, I can hear everything.
He can't hear. He's hearing the speaker on the floor, but he can't hear the translation from the book.
I will be speaking to you in English. The translation will be into Xhosa. Is that all right?
I know myself, I am positive.
You got the earphones all right?
Mr. Schlepper, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I don't remember the exact song.
Rewind the picture.
And one of the children was shown on TV who had a gun on his chest. Only to find out it's my son, Jabulani. I prayed, I said, oh no, Lord. wish this news can just rewind. I wish this news can just rewind. I wish this news can just rewind. I wish this news can just rewind. And one of the children was shown on TV who had a gun on his chest. Only to find out it's my son, Jabulani. I prayed, I said, oh no, Lord. I wish this news can just rewind. I wish this news can just rewind. I wish this news can just rewind. They were treating people like animals. That's what makes me cry right now. But even a dog, you don't kill it like that. Even an ant, a small ant, you think you have feelings even for an ant. But now, our own children, they were not even taken as ants.
Edward Juku.
They asked me, is this your son? I said, yes, he is.
Your son,
I said, yeah.
He's dead.
He's dead.
So I said, very sorry.
So I said, what are you sorry
Very
about?
sorry.
So I said, so what should I do? So I said, what are you sorry about? He said, yeah.
Your son is dead. Utalo, Utalo, Utalo.
And this much said, okay, there's nothing we can do. I didn't give a damn what he was thinking about me. I simply left. I said I had a very scary period. There was this goat. There was this goat looking up. This one next to me said, having a dream like that with a goat looking up is a very big dream. When we saw on TV, I'm sorry, Peza came in. I was very scared when I saw Peza, and I said, Peza, what is it that you have to tell me? Say it to me now. Say it. Say it now. So Peza said, say it to me now. Say it. Say it now. So Peza said,
and I place the wet bag over your head. And I place the wet bag over your head. Commissioners, it was a cloth bag. And then I applied was I'd get the person to lie down on the ground on his stomach normally. With that person's hands handcuffed behind his back, then I would take up a position in the small of the person's back, put my feet through his arms,
and then pull the bag over the person's head and twist it closed around the neck, in that way cutting off the air supply.
The day that we find him, he's going to be in very big trouble.
I was worried and I was scared. And at the same time, I was brave. I kept quiet, I looked at him.
He set up my bed, stand up. Waphakama wathi, what is the bed after all?
He stood up and he said, "What is this bed after all?" After that, they left my house.
The bullet apparently came from a 9mm pistol. He was standing holding the curtain, and the bullet will have come through here, through the top of his arm, through both lungs, and out underneath this arm. It pierced both his lungs, passed straight through his body, and retained enough velocity to hit the wall several meters behind him, and then to ricochet across the room before landing on my bed.
He set up my bed, stand up. Waphakama wathi, what is the bed after all?
He stood up and he said, "What is this bed after all?" After that, they left my house.